So, today I would like to speak about the need for us to stop giving our friends bad advice. Now, I know myself, I'm one who is often in agreement with the emotional state of my friends or acquaintances simply because that's human nature, right? To be able to tap into the emotions and feelings of someone else, especially if they are experiencing something traumatic, something distressful. And when you respond to that, typically you respond to that with the same kind of emotion that they are displaying when they present the issue. So that's fine in some cases, such as, for example, um, a loss, for example. Of course, you're going to express your sympathy and your empathy. That's very appropriate for a situation like that. Or for something that has upset them. It's okay to express our anger as well as to give them some insight about how to work through that issue. And I know everyone doesn't have that skill to do, but I think we have to sit back and kind of take a objective look at things. What kind of advice would I truly want that would be beneficial for me if it were me on the other end of the situation? It's easy to just agree, oftentimes with foolishness. Let's say there's a situation in a friend's life and they present this issue to you. You see what their perspective is, but yet you also have um, advice to offer that may be beneficial in them working through this issue. But the problem is, when you present that information, it may sound like you are not on their side, for the lack of a better term. So it may sound like you are at the opposing end of the situation that they are presenting to you. And that's hard to do sometimes, especially when we deal with people who are sensitive when it comes to taking constructive criticism or constructive encouragement, I should say. And we begin to just kind of follow the same suit of, what they're dealing with and their viewpoint about a given thing. When we know in our hearts they're being outrageous, they're being irrational, and they're not using sound judgment. And I believe a good friend, a seasoned friend, would extend in a very empathetic and gentle way, especially depending on the person's character and how, based on your experience with them, how they may respond. Gently express your true opinion and belief about the situation rather than agreeing with foolishness, because oftentimes when that happens, you may agree that, yeah, you should go do this, or you should go do that, or you should react to this person like this. And then they have you encouraging them to do this negative and unfruitful act that's going to cause them more detriment at the end. So you have to consider that. Some people they're getting your input for a reason. So you have to be wise about how you respond to that, not just so as to be agreeable. At this point, it may cause them to receive ammunition to carry out the worst thing they could do in that situation. So us as friends and acquaintances, I think when people come to us about things that are distressful or things that are or traumatic or what have you, I think if we don't have the capacity to really speak on it in a productive way to help propel them in a direction of recovery or a peaceful outcome, then I definitely think we should maybe take a step back and say, I understand, and kind of just leave it at that. Don't have an opinion. I would refer or recommend therapy if the issue is beyond the scope of what I believe I can impart information about or any kind of comfort. The worst thing we can do is to give bad advice, to give advice that we know good and well, if they follow, it's not going to end well for them. Or worse, we listen to them discuss with us their intentions to do something. And instead of us saying no, because here are the ramifications that may follow this thing, we agree. We say, I would do the same thing. I would do it too if I were you, blah, blah, blah. So we get all wrapped up in their emotion as if it's us in that position. And again, for certain situations, that may be appropriate, but not in the case of someone being irrational, acting out of anger, and being impulsive. Those are things that are gonna set them on a path to destruction. So we have to say, okay, I understand. I feel you. That's messed up. We can do all of that. But at the end of the day, when they've calmed down, when they've vented, and when they've gotten it all out, it's our job as a good friend, as a true friend, to really try to help them see the other side of the coin and help them see where, if we think that this reaction or response to something is going to cause them more detriment, we step in and we say, no, let's not do that. Let's do this instead. Or I think you should do this. That's just my opinion, but at least you won't be responsible in a sense, which people make their own decisions. I get it. But oftentimes when we have people who we care about, their opinion can be very impactful to us, so much so that we move on it. So while, yes, everyone is responsible for their own actions, I think us as people in general, especially in our close relationships, should be very cognizant of the information that we put out concerning, something that's brought to us when someone is in a situation that's distressful or they need some advice. So yeah, that's very cut and dry, but I thought I'd share that because I know I have been at times guilty of not giving so good of advice. And it's hard to sometimes, especially again with people who you don't think will receive it well, but you're sitting there like, okay, I know where this is going to go. This is likely not going to work out. So calm down and let's revisit this when we have brought our emotional state to some sort of balance. But it's human nature. Sometimes we just give good advice because we do, or bad advice because we really do get emotionally involved to the degree that we feel like it's us. So we give our response based on our empathetic viewpoint of that situation as if it were us, but it's not us. So we have to be very aware of that and making sure that we are not putting ourselves in that situation to get, you can be empathetic in putting yourself in that situation so you can understand how a person feels, but that's only good for that reason. It's not good for giving advice because I can't, if I'm empathetic and I'm putting myself in that person's situation, I can feel it, I can think it, I may even have an emotional response to it. But what I don't need to do is give my response based on it actually happening to me as if I were them. I need to give my response as someone on the outside looking in who is looking at things with a reasonable eye of awareness. So that's all I had to say for today. Thank you all for joining in. If this is your first time coming to my channel, I am Sakanya and I am a relationship host. I speak about relationships and I speak about variations of relationships, familial relationships, sibling relationships, parental relationships, um, friendships, of course, and romantic relationships. So, kind of a variety of different things, and also organizational relationships like work, church, that sort of thing. So, I just kind of speak some of the things that I have been through, and some of the things that have worked for me, some things that haven't worked for me. But if you like this, if it's something you want to continue to receive content for, please hit the subscribe button and like this channel, and make sure you hit the bell. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.